Today I want to share with you my very best and super easy recipe for chicken bone broth. This does not require a whole bunch of vegetables, there's no apple cider vinegar. All you need is a chicken carcass or two, water and salt. That's it. It's super tasty drink on its own, but also great to just cook with. As you know, there's a lot of health benefits with bone broth. All the trace elements and minerals you find in bone broth are readily absorbed by the body. And you also find things like collagen that's great for your skin and hair and joints. And we can't forget about all the protein you also have in it. 1 cup of prepared bone broth usually have at least 10 grams of protein in it. So it can be very satisfying on your own. Say if you're sick and you can't eat a lot of food, but you want something that's healthy, and bone broth is the ticket. So let me show you how to make this. Anytime I cook a whole chicken, I always save the bones. Sometimes I have a little bit more left over, depends on how much of the meat is left on there. So this is a little bit more. Here's another carcass that was a little bit more picked clean. But all you really have to do is put them in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer until you're ready to use it. I find 2 chickens is usually the perfect amount to get a really nice gelled bone broth. You're gonna need some salt. Of course, you want to go with something like sea salt, like Himalayan pink sea salt, and water. You want to fill it till about 1 inch left on the full mark inside your Instant Pot. Most people use filtered water. I'm not picky like that. I just use regular tap water. But if you prefer to use filtered water, use that. Some people swear using apple cider vinegar will help get the minerals out of the bones. I tried both. It doesn't taste different. Does it or does it not help getting the minerals out? It's a debatable question, and I'm just gonna skip it. It doesn't really add anything into the flavor. It's delicious without it. So this is all I'm gonna use. A lot of people add a lot of vegetables. I like it just like this. So all you want to do is add your chicken carcasses. You can add them directly frozen like I have here to your Instant Pot. You want to add salt. The amount of salt you use is really up to you and your preferences. I'm gonna go with about 1.5 teaspoons. Then you want to add your water. You can add as much water as you can fit depending on how much bones. Like I usually actually put more than 2 chicken carcasses in there depending on what I happen to have. And you see the fill max line there. You want to actually add water until you have about 1 inch on that max. So just keep on adding water until you get to just underneath that fill line. Alright, now we are at the level of water we want. So this depends on how much bones you have. You can definitely put more than 2 carcasses in there if you have that in your freezer. I've done as many as 4, even though that was a tight fit. But 2 is all you need to get a really nice, delicious bone broth and get that nice jello texture when it cools off. That's what you're really looking for here. So I'm gonna go ahead now and put the lid on. I'm gonna make sure it's in the closed position. On our Instant Pot, we wanna choose pressure cook. And we want to do 90 minutes. That usually is a good amount to get all that goodness out of the bones. We now have our Instant Pot on for 1.5 hours, and we're gonna just let it take care of itself. After it's done, you can gently vent it manually if you want to, but you can also just let it sit and let the pressure go down on its own. So it's been 10 minutes now since it finished, and I have let the vent manually vent, and it just popped down. So all ready to go. Here you can see all the little pieces of meat has come off the bone. It has cooked down nicely. The best way to handle it before you put it in a container is to strain it into a large container over some ice. You want to chill your bone broth as quickly as possible before putting it in the fridge. You don't want to have it sitting out on the countertop. Bone broth is usually good for about a week in the fridge, but the faster you can get it in the refrigerator, the better, and you won't have to worry about bacteria starting to grow in there. So we're going to strain it into this bucket and have it cool off a little bit. I have now strained off all the solids, and I'm going to let it sit here and cool off a little bit. Walter thinks it smells delicious, right, Walter? Yeah. And then we're going to put it in some mason jars. Now the chicken bone broth has been sitting on ice for about 1/2 hour, so it has cooled down a lot, and we can start putting it in some mason jars. I like to use these. You can use whatever container you happen to have. If you're planning to freeze your bone broth, make sure you have jars that can go in the freezer, or you can even put the bone broth in freezer bags and freeze them standing in the freezer for later use. Or if you like to use a little bit at a time, you can use large ice cube trays to freeze some of the broth. I'm going to be using this all up in 1 week, so I'm just going to put it directly in the fridge and keep it there. All right, so here we have our liquid gold ready to be used. It's still going to be quite warm, but you want to make sure you get it into the refrigerator as soon as possible so you don't have any bad bacteria start growing in there. And like I said earlier, this will keep nicely for about a week in the refrigerator. After the bone broth has fully chilled, you will see a nice gelling effect take place, and that is a sign that you want to see, and that means your bone broth is full of healthy gelatin. So when you need to use it, you can just stir it a little bit to get the fat on top mixed in, and then use it in whatever you're planning to use it for. And that is how easy it is to make a simple chicken bone broth in Instant Pot. I hope you like it.